everyone. Welcome to week 5. We are looking at social justice and human rights. And the focus this week is unpacking a human rights case study. First of all, defining social justice. In week 4, we talked about social justice, and Daphne linked it to democratic citizenship. How do you define the concept of social justice in a democratic society? Is social justice fairness? Do you define it as giving people their due? As a fair distribution of opportunities? Do you define it as equity, a redistribution of opportunities? As having equal chances to be successful in life? As having equal chances to realize one's potential? Explore definitions of social justice and define it for yourself. Working for social justice. Social justice then means taking action to right the wrongs or to redress the wrongs. Education, and Freire is a good example, is one example of an action for social justice. Sometimes people need to turn to the law in order to fix the wrongs or redress the wrongs. There are some basic principles that help us to understand what is meant by social justice. Some of these are reported on the next slide. The Australian government has defined 4 principles of social justice. They state on their website, the basic social justice principles to guide work with young people are: 1. Access. Greater equality of access to goods and services. 2. Equity. Overcoming unfairness caused by unequal access to economic resources and power. This is very similar to the definition of equity that Daphne offered. Rights. Equal, effective, legal, industrial, and political rights. And finally, participation. Expanded opportunities for real participation in the decisions which govern their lives. Human rights legislation. There are laws on human rights which exist federally, but there are also laws in each province and territory. Human rights laws prohibit discrimination in selling property, rent or accommodation, memberships, and human rights laws also regulate against hate propaganda. Where a case is heard depends on the type of case. Banking, airlines, railways, those cases are heard in federal courts. Cases about schools, restaurants, and municipal government, those cases are heard in provincial or territorial courts. When people's rights are violated, they seek redress through the courts. We are going to investigate one website that reports on human rights cases, the Canadian Human Rights Reporter. Here is the website. Hopefully you will take some time and browse on this website. Here is a screenshot of the website. The Canadian Human Rights Reporter has identified human rights topics. These topics are in the box on the right-hand side of the page. In the section below the introduction paragraph are lists of cases that have been reported. You can click on any of those and read the details about the human rights cases. This week you are working on PBL Scenario 2. You are starting PBL Scenario 2. In your course outline, you've been provided with a number of websites for case studies about human rights. Hopefully, the topics that have been introduced to you in this week's video will help you to begin to unpack or figure out what is happening in the case study or studies you have selected to read. Which principles of social justice need to be paid attention to? Access, equity, rights, participation, or combination? Which aspect of the person or persons' human rights have been violated? And what have you learned from investigating a case study or studies? These are the synthesis questions for you to consider during the tutorial for week 5. 1. How aware are you of your charter rights? 2. What purposes are served by publishing case studies? 3. What, in your view, are the most important ways to move toward greater social justice in Canadian society? We are looking forward to the dialogue. Thanks.